Look what we have here. The Hoka One Torrent 2. Wow, Hoka One athletes, Sage Canaday here. Early June 2020, we're gonna talk about the Hoka One Torrent 2 trail shoe. Now obviously I'm biased because I'm a Hoka One sponsored athlete, have been for over 6 years, and I've seen different iterations of trail shoes come out. I love the Speed Goat series. It's a different feel than the Torrent. I love the Jaws. It's super lightweight. It's a different feel and different application for different type of trails. But I will say Challenger ATR as well. The Torrent is very versatile. Whether you're on buffed out single track or technical rocky trails, it's got a lot to offer, and it's nice and lightweight, and I like the feel of it. So it is my favorite current Hoka One trail shoe. And if you've seen my training in the Golden Trail Series, Pikes Peak Marathon, running a lot of races last year, mountain marathon distance, 42K, 26.2 miles, I wear the Torrent 1 a lot. I love how light it is. I love the feel. We'll get into the tech specs in the shop here in a minute, but this is the new Torrent 2. And I think the thing that people worry about when they change iterations of shoes is what changes. Because you like a shoe. I love the Torrent 1. You really like it. But then there's an update and you're like, what's going to be different, right? Is the feel going to be different? Is it going to weigh more? How's the traction going to be? Am I going to like the upper design? What are they going to change exactly? And so this is a brand new shoe. Came out. The one thing I will say they did change with it is it weighs slightly more. It weighs slightly more, and they've changed some materials. They've also changed the outsole or the lug pattern, and I'll get into the tech specs here inside in a minute. But the weight difference, I just testing it out today, is very marginal. It's very marginal. It's a slight weight difference. So I'll put the weights there in ounces and grams. It's a men's size 9. I actually wear a little bit of a bigger shoe, but that's the standard weight comparison of the Torrent 1 to the Torrent 2. Put it in ounces and grams there. It's a very marginal weight difference. You barely notice it. And the improvements with the outer lug pattern, new traction on the bottom, as well as different materials, more sustainable materials on the upper and other parts of the shoe, I think are worth the trade-off benefits. But let's get this tested out on different conditions here on the trail. Let's head inside now to the shop while I'll run down some more of the tech specs and technology of the Hoka One Torrent 2. Let's go inside. Alright, so we're inside now. Let's take a closer look at the Hoka One Torrent 2. So, first impressions, we still keep that 5mm offset, 5mm drop between the midsole thickness here from the heel down to the forefoot. It's characteristic in a lot of Hoka One shoes. The Torrent stays the same. Out on the trail, it felt like a very similar ride to the Torrent 1. Now, as we get into the bottom, looking at the outsole or this lug pattern on the bottom, that is where things change a bit. It seems to be a slightly different rubberized compound, a sticky rubber, so to speak. And where the lugs really differ are actually in the back. We change a pattern to more multi-directional lugs, which is great when you're going downhill. You kind of need that extra traction in the back part of your foot, going down really steep downhills on the trails. And again, I put these shoes through the ringer. I'm out on these rocky mountain trails, super technical, super rocky. Sometimes you get dry dirt, but I also intentionally got my feet wet and practiced on the sharp rocks to see what the traction was like. Now, admittingly, the Torrent has never quite had the superior traction that, say, a Speed Goat has. The Hoka One Speed Goat has multi-directional lugs in a Vibram rubberized outsole pattern. Vibram lugs on the Speed Goat. It changes the feel. It's just a different feel. Generally costs more, and I will say the Vibram lugs on the Speed Goat are better traction, especially when they're wet, than this rubber compound. That being said, this definitely holds its own. It does depend a bit on the lug pattern, the length of the lugs, how much nub distance basically you have, as well as wet or dry conditions. And I only threw it through the ringer there because I wanted to test out extreme mountain conditions. In Colorado here, we're running 14,000 foot peaks. We go through snowfields or streams or slush and mud, and then we're on these like rocks and cliffs and stuff. So you do need to note that. And the traction is definitely better, I'd say, near the back with these multi-directional lugs compared to the forefoot, where they don't dig in quite as much as, say, at the Speed Goat. Again, though, these are other Hoka One One trail shoes, and the trade-off here is with the price point, the weight, and the ground contact feel. The outsole material, the lugs, the rubberized material changes the feel of the shoe, and so this is kind of what keeps the Torrent unique and light. Moving up on the shoe, we have the Midsole Design, which is the heart, really, of a good running shoe. And Hoka utilizes a technology called ProFly Midsole, which is kind of a responsiveness that changes as your foot hits the ground. So it's a little bit more firm, maybe on impact in the forefoot here, or the middle part of your foot, and it transitions to a softer, cushier feel. Now these are rated at a pretty responsive type of shoe, so they're pretty firm, which is okay though, because it's a trail shoe. You're not going to be running on the pavement probably that much. I do take them out a bit to transition from road or pavement to get to the trails sometimes, but they really shine off-road in the dirt, and you feel that nice responsiveness, that nice firmness, and that kind of dynamic feel of the ProFly midsole in the Torrent shoe. Hoka utilizes this in other models as well. Now the upper also changed. I'm really liking it. It feels nice and comfy. It's nice and soft. It feels a bit more flexible. They've used these recycled polyester fibers in it, and it's a nice engineered mesh. Always great with the sustainability, using Unify Reprieve recycled yarn to make this shoe, and to kind of reuse the post-consumer waste plastic, I should say. That's what the yarn is derived from. So really cool to see that in the upper design. You can see the detail here. I will say, just upon initial inspection and feel for debris and kicking rocks maybe in the front toe box area, it's probably a little bit softer. It's not as firm, maybe not quite as much toe box rock protection for those big boulders that you might kick. That being said, I haven't taken this out onto super extreme mountain trails yet, or done a ton of runs in them, and that also goes kind of with the idea of durability. The Hoka Torrent is generally not as durable as, say, something like the Speed Goat. Granted, the price point is a bit lower at $120 USD, and it's also lighter, so there's less material. That being said, I'm going to keep you updated with a future video to let you know how these things look after, say, 100 miles or 160K or 200 miles or 320K out on the super rocky mountain trails that I run on, and what it's like keeping dirt out. But again, I put these through the ringer today. You could see I got them wet, I got them dirty. I was jumping on the rocks, running pretty fast, uphill and downhill. The heel counter feels relatively the same. The laces are nice and light, seem to hold. I always double, triple knot my laces anyway, so that doesn't really change. But yeah, the feel is pretty similar to the Torrent 1, and pretty happy with this iteration. We got also some flashy colors that's pretty cool. So we'll take it back outside now for the outro. Alright, so thanks for watching this Hoka One One Torrent 2 shoe product feature. Again, I am Sage Canaday, sponsored Hoka One One athlete. Check out my Instagram handle and Twitter, social media handles there, as well as in the description below. Thanks for subscribing to this channel for more adventure, mountain running videos, any service, any distance. And be sure to check out the Hoka One One Torrent 2 trail shoe. It's on the Hoka website. Link to it in the description below, Hoka One One. Follow them on social media as well. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe on here for more of these videos, and stay tuned for more. Time to fly.